Hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome back to A Good 10 Minutes. I'm your host, Alex, and let's get the party started with some market updates on this Friday morning. Another great day yesterday. Not much can be said about the market overall. Overall, a positive green day. Dow was up 68 basis points, S&P up 32 basis points, and Nasdaq up 20 basis points. Bitcoin did take a hit, at minus 3.64%. So it's now down to about 65,000 per Bitcoin. Definitely looking to see whether Bitcoin will continue to slide or whether we're going to see that $100,000 mark finally hit. It's been talked about for many, many years now. So we'll see if this is a cold streak officially or not. More on this later, but I did want to quickly point out that Reddit had a really successful IPO yesterday, up 47.97%, almost up 50% yesterday during the IPO. Reddit is now up to $50.31 per share. Definitely a very scintillating debut for Reddit. But again, like I said, more details on that later. We're going to start off with more market news. Apple has been slapped with a lawsuit. The Justice Department joined 15 states and Washington, D.C. in suing the tech giant over allegedly monopolistic practices, citing everything from Apple's secretive tap-to-pay chip to its green text bubbles. The 88-page suit is basically a greatest hits collection of every critic's gripes with Apple. Highlights include, first and foremost, the App Store is back in the hot seat. The DOJ accused Apple of suppressing cloud streaming apps for video games and said the company's policies have prevented competitors from creating super apps. Other companies, including Epic Games in a very heated lawsuit, have long complained about Apple charging an exorbitant 30% commission on sales through its App Store. Next, its systems are under lock and key. The lawsuit also alleges that Apple purposefully makes it harder for iPhone owners to use products outside its ecosystem. And the DOJ pointed out that Apple is dragging its feet on letting Android users send messages with iMessage. Many tech entrepreneurs have tried to create workarounds, but Apple has shut them down. Apple did agree last year to update the quality of multimedia messages between iPhones and Androids. Apple Pay is also under fire. The DOJ claims that third-party developers cannot create digital wallets for iPhones since the company has its own wallet software. Apple denied the allegations. It historically has said its products and services are secretive in order to protect from malware and fraud. So what's next? It will likely be years before we get a verdict on whether or not Apple needs to change any of these practices. In the meantime, the lawsuit means the DOJ, which promised to crack down on corporate monopolies, has now completed its punch card of suing every big tech company: Amazon, Google, Meta, and now Apple. Some of the biggest magnificent seven organizations. So interesting developments there, and obviously I would be very cautious in the medium to long-term investments in Apple at this time. All right, some political headlines for you all. Really important news here. Congress unveiled a 1.2 trillion spending bill ahead of tonight's shutdown deadline. It's March 22nd on Friday, by the way. And there will be voting on this spending bill, or the government will literally shut down. Though it's unclear if they'll have time to vote on this budget, to prevent parts of the government from shutting down at midnight. This still remains to be seen. So scary times, actually. The bipartisan bill includes, among other things, funding for border security and education programs in an effort to appease both sides of the aisle. Republican leaders signaled that they intend to hold a vote today, waiving their self-imposed rule that legislators get 72 hours to review bills before they vote. So looks like the Republican Party is definitely compromising here, which is critical for the passage of this $1.2 trillion budget. Disney's proxy fight just got interesting. We talked a little bit about this yesterday, but Nelson Peltz, the billionaire hedge fund manager and activist investor, who is trying to gain seats on Disney's board, won a key endorsement yesterday that could prove decisive in his bitter corporate battle against CEO Bob Iger. Advisory firm Institutional Shareholder Services, ISS, recommended that Disney shareholders vote to elect Peltz at the company's April 3rd meeting, citing the major missteps and severe consequences of Disney's recent succession debacle. Iger, who has the support of the Disney family, previously said the ISS recommendation played a critical role in the company's last proxy fight 20 years ago. Another interesting news headline, this is in health. A man gets first ever kidney transplant from a pig. A 62-year-old man with an end-stage kidney renal disease successfully received a kidney from a genetically engineered pig at a Boston hospital last week. The animal organ began fulfilling its function of producing urine shortly after the surgery. The patient has reportedly been recovering well so far, and New York Times posted a story on this. Biotech company eGenesis altered the DNA of the organ donor pig to make its kidney more compatible with the human body and eliminate the risk of certain animal pathogen infections. The breakthrough offers promise for more than 100,000 Americans on kidney transplant waitlists amid a human kidney shortage. A little bit on sports news. So alluded to this a little bit yesterday, but Major League Baseball's golden boy, Shohei Ohtani, as you know, some of you may know, currently playing in South Korea versus the San Diego Padres. Breaking news from yesterday that the team, the LA Dodgers, they fired Ohtani's interpreter and close friend Ippei Mizuhara over allegations of theft related to an illegal gambling operation. ESPN reported that on Tuesday, Mizuhara said Ohtani himself sent $4.5 million to a bookmaker to pay off Mizuhara's gambling debts. But on Wednesday, Ohtani's lawyer said he didn't make the payments, but that he was the victim of a massive theft. Later that day, Mizuhara changed his story. He told ESPN that Ohtani didn't know about any of it and that he definitely did not transfer any money. The saga risks dinging Ohtani's reputation in Japan, where he's known as the, quote, perfect person. For the Dodgers, seeing his name in the same sentence as illegal gambling is not something they expected to kick off Ohtani's new $700 million contract. The incident also puts another intense spotlight on the sports betting industry as companies like FanDuel and DraftKings soar in popularity. NVIDIA is powering AI nurses, which is really, really interesting. If you love Black Mirror, you're probably going to hate this. King chipmaker NVIDIA announced this week that it's partnered with healthcare startup Hippocratic AI to offer a roster of beautifully airbrushed $9 per hour nurses who could replace humans in the areas of patient care that can be done virtually. More than 40 healthcare providers are currently testing the tech. The nurses will be non-diagnostic, but patient-facing for any kind of low-risk and post-op check-ins, nutritional guidance, or pharmacy calls. Offsetting year-long nursing shortages in the U.S. while saving healthcare providers money on human salaries. So this will be a really, potentially huge boost for healthcare business. And because big tech has been outspending venture capital groups on all the hot AI startups, VCs are investing in industry-specific AI projects like Hippocratic, which was just valued at $500 million after a funding round that included Andreessen Horowitz. All right. Donald Trump, back in the news. Donald Trump's team has been texting supporters in all caps to let them know he is in a bind, asking them to chip in some cash before New York attorney Letitia James begins seizing his properties over a failure to pay $464 million bonds stemming from his New York City civil fraud trial. The urgent plea comes after dozens of companies refused to spot the former president the dough, fearing he might lose his appeal. So, really crazy stuff here. And just to round things out as we're approaching our 9th minute now, some quick hitter headline updates for you. Walmart is adding high-end products to more than 800 locations in a bid to lure wealthier shoppers. So Walmart's stepping up its game to attract customers that are shopping for higher-end stuff. Airline CEOs have reportedly requested an intervention audience with Boeing's board of directors to address the manufacturer's growing list of problems. Oh boy, Boeing is in deep trouble. China and Russia, interestingly, made a deal with Houthi militants to protect political support for the Yemen-based group in exchange for their ships sailing through the Red Sea without being attacked. Wow. The Biden administration canceled $6 billion in student loan debt. And DoorDash announced it's rolling out of fast food delivery via drone. Incredible. So we'll be looking out for flying baconators. Just under 10 minutes. Thank you all very much. Have a wonderful weekend. And thank you as always. See you tomorrow. Have fun. Bye-bye.